What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, CamATL, and welcome back to another NFL video with your boy. Drop a like down below, comment anything in the comment section, and enter your name into the $100 giveaway I'm going to do every single week on this channel this season. Um, yeah. Thank you guys for joining me as always. As you know, early on in the week, we do a first look lineup video together where I pretty much just put the lineup together. We talk about those players, and then that's kind of it. Um, it is Friday, so it is full slate breakdown time. We're going position by position, pretty much talking about the core players that I'm interested in at each position. I'm not going to talk about every single player, but I am going to break it down to a nice little player pool for you guys, position by position, to get you going for week 5. Extremely excited for this week. I feel really good about it. Last night we got the W on probably one of the greatest showdown games I've ever seen. It's like I was just blown away by the amount of points that both those teams were putting up. It's like every time I checked the game, there were more points put up. It's like, oh my god, like slow down, guys. You know what I mean? But anyway, we cashed on that slate last night, and so I'm excited to get into this week 5 slate as well. So let's go ahead and get straight into it. Greenlightdfs.com, join the squad. Let's get it. Here we go. So first and foremost, let me say, when it comes to the quarterback position, I have some lineups where I got to spend up guys. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, these guys are going to be fantastic options. You've got some decent spend up options, but you also have some amazing mid range options. Okay, you've got Gino, who's been very solid this year at 5'5". You've got Andy Dalton at 5'2", which is probably one of my favorite ones because the options to pair him with are also cheap, and we're going to talk about that. But one of the reasons I love Andy Dalton is because of those options he has to pair with, and it allows you to really get that little tiny little stack there. Plus, Seattle just gave up, I mean, crazy numbers to Jared Goff without Amon-Ra St. Brown, without DeAndre Swift. They just got gashed. You know what I mean? And so it's a fantastic spot here with Andy Dalton at home against that same Seattle defense that just got destroyed by Goff. Now, Dalton's not very good, but he's good enough to hit value at 5'2". And there's other guys to pair him with that are great. So I really like Andy Dalton. He's definitely in my player pool. Who else? Mac Jones, if he is in fact going to play this week, keep an eye on that situation. But against Detroit is a fantastic matchup. You also have guys that you can pair him with that are solid options. Um, let's see. Anybody else? That's really it. So let's go ahead and get into the core of guys. Let's talk about the two main spend up guys on this slate, and you're either spending for one of these two guys. Well, I'd say you're probably spending on one of these three guys, or you're going mid range to low range. All right, you've got Jalen Hurts against Arizona in a dome in Arizona. Solid spot for Jalen Hurts. I could see a bounce back spot here for him. Like I said in the first look lineup video, the reason we got him into the lineup there because him having a down game last week will probably bring his ownership down. So I could see him having a great game here. Question is will it be warranted for 3,000 more than Andy Dalton? Is he going to score that much over Dalton to where, or over a Geno Smith to where it's warranted for 3K more? That's the question, and that's what you got to ponder with in your mind. But Jalen Hurts, solid matchup against Arizona. I'm fine with that. Jalen Hurts is favored in this matchup, all that yada yada yada. Josh Allen's another option. I don't love him as much because the game's not as close of a game. I don't expect this game to be very competitive, which in turn isn't the best game script. Now, what we've seen in many over the last couple years is that Buffalo really doesn't take the foot off the gas though. So even though I'm expecting Buffalo to be up and consistently up in this game, I think that they don't take their foot off the gas, and I think that in turn ends up leading to a solid output out of Josh Allen. At 8-2 in a negative game script situation here, though, I won't have a ton of him. So it's either Jalen Hurts that I'm spending up for, Tom Brady, same kind of situation. Like Tampa Bay should be up a good bit here, and maybe the game script's not super favorable to him here, and they might Leonard Fournette it up. Or they could come into this game and Tom Brady could be pissed off. He's got to get a divorce lawyer and all that stuff, and he could come in and just ball out. Or he could come in and you could look at it a negative way. His family's going through turmoil right now. It might be too much going on in his head for him to come in and ball out. But if it's happening now, it was also in his mind last week, and he had a solid game last week. So I'm not worried too much about his behind the scenes stuff. At 6K, I do like him as one of the spend up options. I have him point per dollar over Jalen Hurts and Josh Allen. But when it comes to point per dollar, let's talk about these value options. All right. Number one is going to be, hello, there we go. Number one's going to be Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's the one that pops the hardest to me at 5'2", mainly because of him being at home in a dome facing this horrible Seattle secondary. Like I said, just gave up a ton of yards to Jared Goff, missing his best receiving weapons. Okay, so love Andy Dalton. And another plus, like I said earlier, is I like some of the pairings that you can pair him with. Okay, you got Michael Thomas inactive, which is a good spot for Olave and these other guys. And we'll talk about these guys, but I really like Andy Dalton. Mac Jones is another guy. I believe Jacoby Myers is out. So with Jacoby Myers being out, you're taking one of his better weapons away. So that's why he's not my favorite cheap option. But the matchup against Detroit, I mean, is fantastic. But it's one of those things. It's not in a dome. Okay, it's in New England. It's not in a dome, so I prefer Andy Dalton as my number one guy, or Geno Smith on the other end. I love a pairing with Geno Smith and Tyler Lockett again this week. I've played a lot of Geno Smith this year, and it's worked out for me. Um, I like the Geno Smith Tyler Lockett pairing option, and I like Andy Dalton as my main core of guys, or you're spending up for those other guys. Plain and simple. That's just is what it is. Okay. I in GPP. Teddy Bridgewater is okay at 5'4". The Jets secondary has been bad. So Teddy Bridgewater maybe, but it's just not as sexy as those other options I mentioned. All right, let's talk running back. Jeff Wilson Jr. is at the top of my point per dollar list here. I love him in this matchup against Carolina. San Francisco should be ahead in this one. I love Jeff Wilson at 5'5". He's going to get heavy usage in this offense. Fantastic spot for him here. So I will definitely have some exposure to him at 5'5". He's one of the guys I really like, and as you can see, point per dollar, he really pops for me. Leonard Fournette, when I talked about Tom Brady, the game script might not be too much in Tom Brady's favor here. It could really be one of the breakout Leonard Fournette games. It could be the breakout Leonard. We will get one of those here soon, okay? Has he gotten in the end zone yet? I don't know if he's even gotten in the end zone yet this year. Let me see. Leonard Fournette. Let me see. I'm pulling him up right now to see if he has, in fact, gotten in the end zone yet this year. Once. He got in the end zone last week. That's the only good thing he had. He did have 7 targets on 7 receptions, playing from behind. That's not the game script we're going to see here, though. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I like the game script for Leonard Fournette a lot. He's definitely in play for me just solely off the game script situation here. He should get that 20 plus carries like he did week 1, week 2. And if he gets in the end zone as well as getting that many carries, he's going to be a solid, solid option. Derrick Henry pops for me. Alvin Kamara. Pay attention to this situation, obviously, but with Mike Williams out, Alvin Kamara is going to be a guy that you could definitely use. He was limited in practice. He's been limited in practice, but I think it's good enough for him to make his return this week. So I definitely like Alvin Kamara, and that gives Andy Dalton even more success with little dump offs and stuff like that. So I like that spot. Khalil Herbert pops to me again. Once again, fantastic option to me. He's just going to get so much usage in this offense, y'all. Okay, and against Minnesota, it's a solid spot. Khalil Herbert's a guy that I definitely want exposure to once again. He didn't have like a mind-blowing week last week. He got 19 carries for 77 yards, didn't get in the end zone. But if you add a touchdown to that, I mean, it's a solid performance. So I like his spot here. As long as Montgomery is out once again, he is definitely going to be in play for me. Let's see. He's been limited to his return to practice, so keep an eye on this. If Montgomery is out, I love Herbert. If Montgomery's in, Herbert is no longer in play. Damian Pierce is in play for me for sure. Devin Singletary is a sneaky option here because Buffalo should be up in this one and probably run heavy. Breece Hall is decent. Jamal Williams, once again, with no Swift, Jamal Williams is going to get the bulk of the carries here, and it's going to be a fantastic spot. Okay, Swift still didn't practice on Thursday, so he's not likely to play here week 5. Jamal Williams once again is the main man, and at 6'5", I'm good with Jamal once again. Okay, Jamal's just going to be a big part of this offense here. Okay, and that's about it, man. Jeff Wilson's a big part of it for me. Leonard Fournette in a positive game script matchup against Atlanta. Obviously, Derrick Henry is an absolute stud. He's my favorite spend-up running back. But then outside of that, you got Austin Eckler, who's a decent option. Alvin Kamara coming back should get a lot of little dump-offs against Seattle. Should find room to run as well as long as he's full go. Damian Pierce, solid. Khalil Herbert, solid. Wide receiver, let's get it. Tyler Lockett, number 1, baby. And Chris Olave. Let's talk about this game right here. I love both these guys. Last week, loved Tyler Lockett. He went out and put an okay performance out. It ended up being the DK Metcalf show in a harder matchup. Okay, this week once again it's the same kind of situation. Lockett's got the plus matchup, whereas Metcalf's got Lattimore. I know Justin Jefferson just did damage to Lattimore, but this is a solid matchup once again, man. And I go off of that. I think Tyler Lockett could end up. DK Metcalf had the huge week last week. I think this week could be Lockett here. And at 5'6", he's 1,200 less than Metcalf. I definitely side with Lockett over Metcalf straight up. So Tyler Lockett is definitely a go-to for me, especially if you got Geno Smith, roll Lockett. If you don't have Geno Smith, roll Lockett anyway to run back your Andy Dalton lines, because you should definitely have some Andy Dalton versions. Chris Olave is who I want to pair with Andy Dalton. Jarvis Landry is another guy. You could even do Dalton, Olave, Jarvis, and then run back with Tyler Lockett. You could just get exposure to this game in general if you want. New Orleans defense isn't horrible all around, though. You know what I mean? They're a solid-ish defense. They're not horrible, so I don't want a ton of the Seattle side. I really want to prioritize the New Orleans side. So Olave, Jarvis Landry are guys I'm interested in, and then Tyler Lockett has the best matchup on that other end, and I really like this spot here. And it's all in a dome, y'all. It's great spots. Rondale Moore is a guy. He's been limited. He's obviously his first game back was last week. We already know DeAndre Hopkins is out for Arizona. AJ Green is expected out as well. So that's gonna really give Rondale Moore wide receiver one vibes here, and he is a guy that really needs to step it up here for Arizona. And he should. He's going to have a big game here. He's a big play guy. They're going to be playing from behind a lot here against Philly in this one. So I really like this spot for him here. Rondale Moore is in a fantastic spot. Obviously, Marquise Brown is the technical wide receiver one, and he's been really solid. 11, 17, and 11 targets the last three games. So that's a ton of targets for Marquise Brown. But with Rondale Moore, expect Rondale to get some of that. With Darius Slay most likely on Marquise Brown. I don't know if Slay's going to shadow Marquise or what, but Rondale Moore really sticks out to me here at 4-1. He's a solid value in my opinion, and especially if you have Darius Slay hindering Marquise Brown in any way, Rondale Moore is definitely going to benefit from that. With AJ Green out, DeAndre Hopkins obviously has been out, so Rondale Moore sticks out to me as well. Cooper Kupp is the number one guy. If you got money, go Cooper Kupp. He's probably my favorite play on the entire slate. Let me go to all. Outside of quarterbacks, I'm pretty sure Cooper Kupp's my highest projected player. Hello. Go. Okay, there we go. Cooper Kupp is my number one, even with quarterbacks involved. Cooper Kupp is my number one receiving option on this entire slate. Now, Dallas has been a solid defense, but because of the Dallas has been solid, that makes Cooper Kupp feel even better to me. This game should be a competitive matchup. I even have Dallas money line, or Dallas. I think I took Dallas and the spread for the game bets this week. I think it was like Dallas +4, something like that. I think this game stays incredibly close, and Dallas could even win this game. So with that mindset, Cooper Kupp is a fantastic option. And I absolutely love this in a dome here, obviously. Cooper Kupp in what should be a close game with his amount of usage in this offense. I love Cooper Kupp. And there's nothing this Dallas defense will be able to do to stop Cooper Kupp in the least bit. So I really love this. Cooper Kupp runs a ton out of the slot, too, so it's not like Trayvon Diggs or anything's going to be any type of worry there. Trayvon Diggs is a different type of corner anyway. He really, is more of a ball hawk type of dude. He doesn't he's not going to shut down many people. He's more going to kind of get his picks and get his turnovers and give up big plays at the same time. So Cooper Kupp's in a solid spot at 9.6. I really love him. Let's go back to wide receivers, sort back point per dollar, and talk more. So I've covered mainly my main favorite guys. Nelson Aguilar for New England. We talked about Jacoby Myers being out. So Nelson Aguilar, if you go any Mac Jones, definitely pair him up with Aguilar. He's a solid option. Once again, I love Brandon Cooks. Let me refresh on what the situation is with Amon-Ra. Is Amon-Ra officially still out or what? Amon-Ra is still absent from practice. He didn't even participate in Thursday's practice, so that leans that he's probably going to stay out. Swift and him are probably going to be out. So that means Josh Reynolds once again is in play at 4-9. He's going to be a solid targeted guy on this team. Once again, it's not as good as the other value guys we talked about. Rondale Moore's a value at 4-1 in a dome, playing from behind, missing guys. Josh Reynolds is missing guys and all that too, but it's not in a dome, so you got the weather factor that kind of plays a little. I mean, it's not a huge factor, but I definitely enjoy dome players more. So I definitely prefer the New Orleans, side, Rondale Moore value over Josh Reynolds, but Reynolds is definitely in play as well. I like him. I would probably, if I had to choose between Reynolds or Jarvis Landry, I'd probably side Landry. Um, but I have Reynolds projected higher slightly, but point per dollar, I have Landry. All right, Chris Godwin. If you have a Tom Brady line, pair him with Chris Godwin. But that's about it, y'all. The guys that I've talked about, those are pretty much the guys that you want this week. All right, the Tyler Lockett, Rondale Moore, Olave, Metcalf, even Cup, Landry, Aguilar. If you pair with Mac Jones, Brandon Cooks is a PPR gold. If you land on 6-1, you can do worse than Brandon Cooks. Josh Reynolds with those guys missing in Detroit. Plain and simple. That's it. Now let's talk tight ends. Number one point per dollar tight end is Juwan Johnson for good reason. Michael Thomas is out. Great matchup against Seattle. I really like this game. Something about this game sticks out to me. I don't like a ton. Like I said, I like New Orleans in this game. Um, Jawan Johnson is interesting, especially if you have Andy Dalton getting a little pairing going there, and he's only 3,000. He's an interesting spot for me. Zach Ertz is very interesting, obviously missing people for Arizona, playing from behind predominantly in this game and against his old team in Philly. So definitely an interesting spot there as well. I like Tyler Higbee a lot at 4-3. He's another guy that like I've kind of landed around that price multiple times so far. And if you do, you can do worse than Tyler Higbee. He's been a solid producer this year. Solid matchup here. I really like him a lot. So that's it, man. I'm spending down for Jawan Johnson at 3K. I'm spending up at 4.8 for Zach Ertz, or I'm going Tyler Higbee at 4.3. Let's talk defense. Plain and simple, y'all. Just straight to the point. My favorite defense this week is going to be the Buffalo Bills. Pittsburgh has a rookie quarterback starting, correct? Let me make sure. Let me verify that the rookie is starting for Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett, let me see, is in fact starting for week 5. So you've got a rookie quarterback coming in, making his first official start against one of the best defenses in the entire league. Yes, they've got some guys hurt, but man, the Bills are good. Okay, the Bills are good, and it's in Buffalo. So I really like the Bills. I really I really want to try to get up there if I can. I really like the 49ers against Carolina too. But really, if I'm spending up for defense, I want to get the Bills. That is my main focus. I really, really, really want to get the Bills this week. And if not, if you're playing value, then I talked about it in the first look lineup. If you're going value, the Cowboys have a ton of talent on that defense. Too much talent. I think the turnover possibilities here in this one, yes, they're going to give up points to the Rams, but the turnover possibilities are there. Honestly, in majority of the lineups I've made, I've been able to get Bills in. And I think the Bills could drop a 20 piece. So it just depends. It just depends on roster construction and what you're looking like there. If you have the money, then the Bills are. If you have the money and there's nowhere else that you can really, always leave defense at the end. And whatever you end up landing on, you land on. Don't force anything when it comes to the defense. But yeah, it's Bills or Cowboys for me. One or the other spectrum. All right. If I'm spending down, it's the Cowboys. If I'm spending up, it's the Bills. Depending on your roster construction, however you want to do it, that is what I would recommend doing. So let's go back over quick breakdown refresher. If you're spending up, my favorite spend up quarterback is Jalen Hurts. Okay? My favorite way to go this route, like I have mentioned, is mid-range. I love Andy Dalton. I like Geno Smith. I like Mac Jones. So let me say that I love Andy Dalton. I like Geno. I like Mac. I like Jalen. All right? Running backs. If you're spending up all the way, the number one running back this week is going to be Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry is in a fantastic position if you have the money. Cool. If not, then I really like Leonard Fournette in a plus game script. He's going to have a big game here, and a lot of people might be tired of him and off of him by now. So that's great for us. Jeff Wilson Jr. for just the amount of work he's going to get in this one. Alvin Kamara coming back, as long as his workload is solid. This New Orleans offense, any one of these guys are in play for me. All right. Damian Pierce, solid option at 6'2". Khalil Herbert, as long as David Montgomery is out, Herbert is a fantastic play. Wide receiver, Seattle, Tyler Lockett, Rondale Moore, Olave, Metcalf. If you have money, you just want to get more of a Seattle pairing. I don't recommend that. I prefer to just go Lockett and stick with Lockett. But once again, if Lockett does bad, that's probably higher ownership on Lockett, and Metcalf goes off, you're immediately up in GPPs. But the safer, more technical, like analytical view has me on Lockett a little more. And then Cooper Kupp, if you have the money to spend up. When it comes to spend ups on this slate in general, okay, if I'm gonna spend up on this slate, I would prefer to spend up on Cooper Cup than a Jalen Hurts. All right, I'm just gonna be real with you, just because of the options we have, the options we have at quarterback in that mid range. I love so much that I'm willing to spend more up on a wide receiver, especially PPR DK. I think Cooper Cup has a big game here, so I'd be more into spending up at that position in for Cooper Cup, who is my highest projected player on this slate. Um, but that's just me. Hey, I could be dumb. Who knows? Tight end Juwan Johnson as the value option at 3K. He's the value. Tyler Higbee or Zach Ertz. And then defense, you got Cowboys as the value. Bills as the spend up. I really want to get Bills. I think, like I said, I think the Bills have 20-point upside this week or more. It's a fantastic spot for them. Now, I hope the best for Pickett. But this is a tough one for him to start out. He's not setting up very well here. So it's going to be a tough one, and I think the Bills are a fantastic option this week. All right. Thank you guys for joining me as always. Greenlightdfs.com. Join the squad, baby. We'll have some college football tomorrow. We're going to have some NFL prize picks dropping over the next couple of days. And yeah, man, let's get this money, y'all. Appreciate you for watching. Drop a like down below. Comment anything in the comment section and enter your name into that $100 giveaway I do every single week on this channel. Blah, blah, blah. Thank you guys. Peace.